High-minded rhetoric about a neutral media space often masks the paperwork behind closed doors. There, billions in public funds fuel a lucrative private shadow economy. Every year, French taxpayers pump billions of euros into this system, meant to guarantee an independent media landscape free from the pressures of commercial profit. France Televisions employs roughly 9,000 people. With a workforce that massive, you'd assume they actually make the flagship programs you watch every night. They don't. Instead, they use a bureaucratic mechanism called externalization. It's a polite word for outsourcing. The public network hands over huge chunks of its programming budget to private production companies, legally sanctioning a massive transfer of public wealth. We're going to trace that taxpayer money. We'll follow it straight from the public mandate, through the bureaucratic loopholes, and directly into the private pockets of the people playing both sides of the camera.
If you want to know who actually holds the power in public television, you have to stop watching the politicians arguing on screen and start reading the contracts hidden in the data room. The first layer of this system sits right in front of the camera, operating through a mechanism known as the animateur-producteur, or host-producer. A public TV host simply sets up a private company and then sells their own show back to their employer. This allows some of the most recognizable faces in French media, figures like Nagui Fam, to legally double-dip. They collect a stable salary from the public network, while simultaneously capturing the private profits generated by the production company they own. This chart compares typical television margins to these outsourced game shows. While standard industry margin hovers around 10%, audits reveal daily shows pulling 24, 42, and even 70%. Simultaneously, the public network's own internal production capabilities are deliberately left to wither. At the screen level, taxpayers are effectively paying for this twice. They fund public infrastructure while simultaneously providing the high margins flowing into personal production firms. You have to wonder how contracts this financially one-sided continuously get approved by the network's top management. The answer lies in a uniquely cozy corporate culture known as pantouflage, the revolving door. Executives seamlessly bounce between the public network writing the checks and the private production companies cashing them. The documented life cycle of this arrangement follows a consistent pattern. An executive signs a multi-million-euro contract with a private producer. Shortly after, they leave the public network with a taxpayer-funded severance package. The final step? That executive immediately crosses the street to a highly paid directorship at the exact private company they enriched, managing the very programs they commissioned. This cycle bypasses the standard ethical oversight and cooling-off periods applied to other public servants. The perks of this porous border are well documented. Parliamentary evidence even revealed private production companies financing luxury hotel suites for public TV executives during elite events like the Cannes Film Festival. The public's checkbook is being managed by the exact executives who stand to personally profit from it the moment they hand in their resignation. Individual greed is one thing, but when you scale this financial structure up, you have to ask who really controls the broader ecosystem of the nation's democratic debate. According to the parliamentary inquiry, an overwhelming 80% of France 5's debate programming is controlled by just two private companies, Together Media and Media One. The primary monopoly holder, Media One, is majority backed by KKR, an American private equity firm. The political stakes are explicit. Media One's co-founder has publicly admitted he intends to use the media empire he controls to wage what he calls a civilizational cultural battle against his political enemies. Without putting it to a vote, the network has quietly outsourced a near-total monopoly of the public's democratic discourse to a private entity, driven by foreign equity and an overt political agenda. The ultimate irony of this system is that the French public has inadvertently, through their own taxes, subsidized the privatization of their own democratic discourse. The network defends itself by claiming it maintains strict editorial control, but that defense falls apart when you look at the millions in uncollected audit refunds and the incestuous hiring practices that give private producers all the actual leverage. This arrangement survives because it relies on bureaucratic complexity and, most importantly, public distraction. As long as the public remains focused on fighting over the culture wars broadcasted on the screen, the true power brokers can quietly negotiate the invoices behind the screen. The holding companies cashing the checks for airtime hold more structural influence than the presenters asking the questions. Fixing public broadcasting requires moving beyond the faces on the screen to audit the contracts in the data room.